Hi, hello, welcome back to another week, another video. Happy Monday. My name's Alexi. If this is your first time here, welcome. I like to teach you how to live a happier and healthier lifestyle on my channel. Today, we are learning about the things I wish I knew when I started lifting. I feel like this is a very rambly subject for me. There's a lot that I wish I knew. Part of it is the journey and the process, and I'm very grateful for everything I've learned. But if I could help someone out and give you like some key things that I wish I would have just like known from the get-go, that would have made my life a lot easier, that's what we're gonna talk about today. We're gonna start off with just having a plan and a purpose and finding what works individually for you. I know when I started, I didn't really have this fully grasped. I think I thought that there really was like a very specific way to do things. I did things a specific way for a while. And when I adopted and found a way to mold things to be what I wanted them and in a way that worked for me and that I enjoyed, I feel like I just reaped the rewards so much more. And it kind of has led me into where I am now, where I have fully sculpted everything right now in my life in terms of health and wellness to be very individualized. I encourage you to find what works individually for you, because that is what is going to be the best, is whatever is individualized to you. And just reminding yourself that everything is feedback to find whatever individualized plan works for you right now. I always say what works for you now might not work for you like 3 months from now or a year or 5 or 10 years, right? Like the biggest skill I encourage you to learn is to learn how to adapt when life changes and you need to change your workout plan and change your nutrition and your sleep changes and your stress changes. If you can figure out how to adapt to those things and navigate life as a whole, then this will be in your life for the long term. There is no one way and no one way for you either. Consistency is key. Whatever you can be consistent with is going to be the best for you. So find a plan that you are able to be consistent with. Another thing with consistency is we want to be consistent, but we also need to switch things up. So if you do the same thing for the rest of your life, your body will eventually adapt to that and plateau. So you want to be consistent, but then you want to switch it up. And then you want to be consistent, and then you want to switch it up. Being consistent, giving yourself time to adapt, and then right before you're going to plateau or you're not going to respond anymore, you switch everything up again, but then you be consistent in the next bout. With that, when you're working out and you're in the gym and we're working on these programs and these specific movements, we want to make sure that we are using progressive overload. So progressive overload is the concept of just doing a little bit more every time you go into the gym. So we're looking for a little bit more weight or a couple extra repetitions. You want to do a little bit more than you did the previous week. Also with that, the general concept and rule of just keeping 2 to 3 reps in the tank. So that's always my general rule of thumb, especially when I enter a new program on day 1, is at the end of every set, I'm asking myself, how many could I do? And when I ask myself how many could I do in proper form before my form wants to break down? That's where I end the set. That's where I stop doing whatever I'm doing, because I don't want to be practicing my movements in bad form. So do I have 2 to 3 in the tank? If I've got more than 2 to 3 in the tank, well, I'd probably go a little bit heavier, do a couple repetitions. If I've only got 1 in the tank, we're getting close to failure. Careful. So think about leaving 2 to 3 in the tank. I think when you're a beginner, this is also a very good thing, because then you're never quite working to that failure and fatigue. That's where your risk of injury is going to go up. There is no point in practicing movements incorrectly. No point. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your energy. Stop the set. Reserve that energy and go into the next set or the next session and be able to give maybe a little bit more. Within progressive overload, also don't think about it always as reps and weight, because you can progressively overload yourself through newer ranges of motion. So I always encourage to improve the range of motion before you put on more weight. So even if you're not maybe doing more weight or more repetitions, but if you're doing a shoulder press and you could only get to here, and by the end you're all the way down here, oh, that is progressive overload. And I would encourage that before you stack more weight on. Take the time to practice, learn the movements, get comfortable and familiar in the movements, because the easiest part is adding weight. And my last little bout here is recovery. Focus on recovery. The biggest thing in this is make sure you are eating enough protein. If you want to put on muscle, if you want to get leaner, burn body fat, gain strength, you need to be eating enough protein. So I recommend eating at least a gram of protein per pound of body weight that you are. If that's too much, meet yourself with where you're at. If you've never tracked your macros, I'll put that in the card above, because I go a little bit more into depth about this right there, and you can get a little bit more information. Because I think if you're a new lifter, you also need to make sure that you're eating enough, and that's a really big part of recovery and a really big part of making sure that you are putting on muscle. If you are constantly in a deficit, you're gonna have the newbie gains in the beginning. It's gonna be easier for you to put muscle on in the beginning because this is brand new to you, but as you get more advanced, that's gonna become harder and harder to do. So focus on the nutrition as well and really master the nutrition, because that's gonna help you do everything you want to do, and it's also going to set you up with good recovery, because the harder you train, the harder you have to recover. And if you can master your recovery, you're also going to just yield better results. Sleep is another one. Make sure you're getting your sleep. Make that also one of your #1 priorities, and you will see everything change in your life. Everything. Hydration, of course, you need to make sure that you're drinking enough water, especially if you're working out. Your muscles need the water, so drink the water. And mobility. So I think it's really important to also highlight that mobility needs to be a priority, especially if you are lifting, because if you become immobile, you're not going to be able to have those ranges of motions. You could have tightness in certain places, which then could create imbalances or just issues deeper within the body. So like shoulder pain, knee pain, things like that. I know there's a lot of people that think that that stuff isn't important, but it is, so do it. Learn how to do mobility and warm up before your workouts, and know that you should not be feeling pain. So if you're feeling pain, something is going on and it needs to be addressed. This is like a little random side point, but it's also something I want to mention, is that don't let what your physique looks like on any given day dictate your next move. Our bodies look different on a day-to-day basis based off of our stress, our sleep, our hydration, what we ate that day, if we exercised the day before. So many factors determine what our actual physique looks like. So if you're in a program, trust the process, be consistent, and don't let one thing that you did one day or one way that your body looks influence you to completely change everything the next day, because you're in panic mode. Like, oh my god, I gained 5 pounds, I need to like do a lot of cardio, or I binged last night and I gotta do a lot of cardio, and X, Y, and Z. Just pick right off where you left off, be consistent, and trust the process. The biggest piece of advice that I have is just to start. Just start somewhere. 5-minute action it. Just start. The snowball effect is amazing. It's exactly where I got started here. Is all I did was just start. I was curious, I wanted to start, so I did, and it snowballed. And if it's something that's important to you and something you really want to do, then just start. You also have to do the work. You either have to educate yourself and do the research on your own, or you have to hire someone who knows what they're doing to tell you what to do and educate you. So that's also part of it. Is it is work, it is a commitment. You do have to have discipline here in order to make this a lifelong kind of commitment in your life. I can keep talking about this all damn day. This is generally just the stuff that I wish I knew when I first started, or someone told me to focus on. It just took me my experience to get me to where I am now, and to kind of learn these things along the way. If you have any additional questions, please leave them in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the thumbs up button if you like videos like this, if you want to see more educational videos like this. Thank you so much. I will see you on Monday. Bye.
You stole my heart of gold after my silver soul. Can you dig in?